What is up, guys? It is Robert of Movies with Me, and welcome to Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith movie review. So this movie is directed still by George Lucas, and it still stars the normal cast, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen. Everyone is still here, There's not really a lot of new faces in Episode 3. So after what most people would call a disappointment of Episode 1 and Episode 2, Episode 3 tries to reclaim our happiness, and man, it definitely does do this. Unlike episode 1 and 2, this one really does focus on Anakin. This one is all about Anakin, actually. It's all about Anakin finally getting to what we want to see, is him go to the dark side and become Darth Vader. I won't have like major spoilers, but I guess you can't really spoil it. Everyone's seen these iconic moments in this movie. But I'm not gonna like talk about every single little plot in this review. I'm just gonna say some points of the movie. Right off the bat, the first like 20 minutes of this movie are so much fun, and they are great. You could definitely see that, yeah, the CG has improved greatly. This giant space battle, incredible looking. It's way better looking than it was in like episode 1 and 2. Right off the bat, you see that and you're like, yeah, we're definitely in for a better ride than the last two. Like I said, I do absolutely really love that first 20 minutes when you first get to see Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Count Dooku, and all of a sudden you see, Anakin in that, again, iconic moment. There's a lot of iconic moments in episode 3 where he goes and he says, do it, and he goes, and he kills Count Dooku, and that is just greatness. It's great to see that, and it's like that next step towards the dark side. And he even admits himself, Anakin. He's like, I shouldn't have done it. Now the biggest point of this movie is when Anakin has a vision. He has a dream that, oh snap, Padme's gonna die. He had the same vision that he did for like his mother. So at least that's what he thinks. He thinks, well, that means she's probably gonna die. And Padme's like, it's just a dream. Even he's like, man, it's just a dream, but I won't let it happen. Okay, I'm not gonna let this happen. We're gonna be together forever. I don't want you to die. Because Padme is pregnant now. Well, I think we all know that was gonna happen, but she's pregnant now, and obviously the whole thing is they're still in secrecy. They can't actually announce that, yeah, she's pregnant because he's a Jedi. They technically are not actually supposed to be in a relationship, but they're doing it still in secrecy. And Anakin's like, he's all happy. He loves the announcement that he's having a kid. But she's like, listen, we still need to keep this between ourselves. And that's like the biggest point of this movie, is when he has that dream. Because now this whole time he's worried that Padme is going to die. Padme's going to die. And all of a sudden, Palpatine is like, you are much more powerful than the other ones. Like, he's Palpatine is the one that convinces him to turn to the dark side. What I love about this movie also is seeing how he turns to the dark side. I love Palpatine and Anakin's talks. Like, there's this one part where they're at a show, and it's like with these big bubble things, and he's just telling him this one story about Darth Sidious, and it's so cool. I absolutely love it. Now, this movie is not perfect. The whole thing with I have a problem with every single movie with this in this prequel trilogy, is that they all talk like they're not really characters. A lot of them talk like they are reading off of a script. And what I mean by that is everyone still does like maybe a monotone voice. There's more emotion in this movie, but a lot of people just say stuff that I don't get why they would talk like that. Like, when you see these other Star Wars movies, everyone talks like they're normal, they just speak. But they all have to have these big words and these other things. The way they talk, you know what I'm talking about. Because if you saw a sentence, you're like, that's prequel and that's like original. You could tell through the lines and through how they talk. And it just, I never understood that, and it happens throughout the whole of episode 3. It just is, and you kind of got to just deal with it. But this is a much more fun movie than the last two. It's a much more faster paced movie. It keeps going along. There's not as many, walking around, talking, and sitting down, and Jedi sitting down, and all that kind of stuff. There's not as much, but there are still some of that. I'm so glad that this movie has a lot more emotion than the other ones, because you know what? It's great to see when all the Jedi, and then all of a sudden, Order 66. I mean, that moment is so great. That whole scene is great. When we finally see Palpatine actually convince 100% for him to be in the dark side, because he can save Padme with the dark side powers. And not the Jedis can't do that, but apparently with the dark side, he can save people from death. And that's what triggers Anakin to be like, well, this is my time. I can actually save Padme. This would be awesome. That's just him. He's just thinking that poor guy, he got taken advantage of. It just happens. But it's so great when that finally happens, and it's so intense when you see him go to the younglings, and he goes to the Jedi temple, all that kind of stuff. It's so great. And it's also very crazy when we finally see Obi-Wan see Anakin do some things to younglings. The soundtrack is also great. I do love, again, John Williams, man. He kills it. I will say about the prequels is that they all have some really damn great soundtracks. I love them. They are fantastic. And about the dialogue, not only do how sometimes they talk in a weird way to me, there is also some cheesy moments in this movie where there are parts where it's like, it's just so bad to me. It just sounds bad, and it's not as good. A lot of the dialogue, or maybe some of the action some people do. Like when Obi-Wan gets tossed around with General Grievous, awesome character, right? He's not hurt at all. And it's so funny because it's like, dude, you see how you just got tossed around, all that kind of stuff. You're just perfect face still. All right, sure. Then the final battle happens when you finally get to see Obi-Wan and Anakin fight. And that interaction between them is so great. It really is great. The final interaction between them with the, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." The actual battle between them, and I know that's going to be kind of for a lot of people think that's so epic, and it is to a degree, but I think it's kind of over the top. It's way too over the top. When you have them at one point, they go vroom, 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 vroom. It's literally they're just swinging their, you know what I'm talking about, when they just swing their lightsaber around but they're not hitting each other. They stand still and start swinging it. It's like, what was that for? All right, sure, that happened. So like I said before, I don't think these lightsaber battles need to be that acrobatic, but they are, and it happens, and it's fine. It's just, I don't think it's as good as it probably could have been when they're on lava and they're floating and all that kind of stuff. It's epic, but maybe it's a bit too epic. I know if anything, I think it could have even still been as epic if they were just on the ground without these floating ships and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, and that's fine. But to me, I don't think it needs to be that crazy. And we do also get that nice setup to episode 4, Luke, Leia as babies. It's cool. I really do like that. But then of course you still end with the iconic no. Still to this day, that no is weird. It's so odd that they wanted to choose that. No, yeah, it's iconic, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily good. But it's fine. It's whatever. So overall, I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith an 8 out of 10. It's a great movie. This is actually the first great Star Wars movie if you go in order. I mean, technically, you had other ones. But if you go in order by Episode 1, I do think personally that Episode 3 is the first great one. And I think it's a great movie. It's still got its flaws in terms of dialogue and stuff like that, but it's a lot more fast-paced, it's a lot more fun, and it's a lot better action, while also some of the action being kind of but it's got a lot of emotion, and it's just a lot better than episode 1 and 2. So yeah, guys, what do you guys think of episode 3, Revenge of the Sith? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Rogue One is the next one I'm going to be doing. And Rogue One I'll probably be doing like 2 weeks or something like that. So yeah, guys, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.